I purposefully ruined my cousin's and ex's wedding, and it's brought me a lot of happiness. I once looked up to my cousin. I thought he was a great guy, and we were close like brothers. I was also dating a girl. I was deeply in love with her and planned to marry her someday. I thought my life was perfect. One day, I came home early because a colleague offered to cover my shift. I was pretty tired, so I accepted and went home. When I arrived home, I found them in my bed, having sex. Both of them were shocked, to say the least. I told them I wanted them gone by the time I got back, and then I left the house. They were gone by the time I returned, but she left me a note telling me she was sorry and to call her when I'd calmed down. I didn't call her, I texted her, saying that I'd gather her things and drop them off at my cousin's place in a few days, and that she was staying with him now, not me. I followed through with that. It took about a week to transfer everything. Both of them tried to apologize, but I didn't have anything nice to say to them, so I said nothing. I just knocked on the door and handed the bags to whoever answered before leaving. My cousin called me multiple times to try to apologize, but I refused to accept it. 3 years passed after that. I went no contact with both of them. I didn't bring it up to the rest of my family or any of their friends. I'm not sure why, I just didn't. One day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize, so I answered. It was my cousin. He sounded really happy and was acting like he hadn't destroyed my life. He explained that he and my ex were getting married, and he wanted me to be his best man. I was so angry that he had the utter gall to act like nothing was wrong that I lost my temper. I yelled at him, called him every name I could think of, and hung up. He sent me a text telling me the offer still stood, and that if I didn't want to be his best man, then he simply wouldn't have one. A few days passed, and I had an idea. I texted him back and apologized. I sent him a paragraph of complete BS, saying I was still angry but that this could be an opportunity for the three of us to heal and move past everything. He was overjoyed and said he'd pay for everything. He even offered to help me pick out a suit if I wanted, which I accepted because I sure as hell wasn't going to spend any money on his stupid wedding if I could help it. The wedding day came. I had spent the entire week beforehand writing a speech, putting all the negative feelings that had been bottled up over the years into words on paper. The wedding itself was pretty nice. I'm sure one of them has some well-paying job or something because they must have spent a decent amount of money on it, judging by how beautiful everything was. Our entire family was there, along with a decent portion of my ex's family. Eventually, it was time for my speech. I remember feeling incredibly nervous as the moment got closer. My voice kept faltering while I was reading it, but I didn't care then, and I still don't. At least I got it all out. I explained exactly what these two horrible people had done to me. I called them the worst names I could think of and wished them the worst. Then I walked out. I was expecting some kind of dramatic reaction from all the guests, gasps of shock, whispers, maybe people confronting them, but there was nothing like that. Everyone was completely silent. On my way home, I got a call from my mother. She angrily told me that I'd ruined the wedding, that both of them were devastated, and asked me why I'd do something like that. I told her they deserved it for what they'd done to me and that everything I'd said in my speech was true. She kept defending them, so I swore at her and hung up. Since then, I've received several calls and texts from people in both my family and my ex's family, angry that I'd ruined the wedding. I've also received a few messages from people who were there, offering support and telling me they were there if I ever needed someone to talk to. I'm not sure if I feel better for having done this, but hearing people tell me the wedding was ruined brought me a great sense of catharsis. At the very least, they've now experienced a fraction of what they made me feel. Just a little edit to address some common questions. As far as I'm aware, the rest of the family didn't know about her cheating on me. They likely knew we were dating at one point, and then we weren't. I've learned from previous experiences that I can't rely on my family for any kind of support, so I've been low contact with them since I moved out of my parents' house. That's why I didn't mention any of this to anyone in my family. A lot of people are also asking for the speech transcript. I wrote it in a Google Doc and read it from my phone. The delivery was kind of lackluster. I sounded like I was going to cry and kept tripping over my words, but I managed to read the whole thing. It isn't verbatim what I said, but it's very close, as I was reading from this as a general script. Hello, everyone. I'm not very good at public speaking, so I apologize in advance. It's an honor to be at this wedding, and an even greater honor to be the best man. I was shocked that I was even invited at all, since the last time I'd spoken to the bride and groom was when I found them screwing in my own bed. Ex's name was my partner at the time, you see, but I don't think she got the memo that when you're dating someone, you don't screw their cousin in your partner's own bed. And it wasn't like cousin's name didn't know we were dating either. Who knows how long this slimy jerk had been screwing her behind my back? Weeks? Months? For those who don't know, ex's name and I had been dating for 2 years. I loved her with all my heart, and I was actually saving up to buy an engagement ring. Maybe if ex's name wasn't such a whore, cousin's name would be giving this speech instead, and I wouldn't have been struggling with my mental health for the past 3 years. Anyway, I've heard that 50% of marriages end in divorce. I hope yours is a messy one. From the bottom of my heart, screw you both. You ruined my life, and I will never forgive either of you. Update 1. Hey. It's been a while, and a lot has happened. I haven't logged into Reddit other than to check any messages I've received whenever I see a notification in my email. It has helped, and it's good to know that people still think about me all this time later after reading words on a screen. Hell, the most recent private message I got was 4 hours ago as of typing this, and the most recent notification on my post was 10 minutes ago. I haven't responded to any of them because I don't really know how to begin doing so. I'd feel bad just giving a short, thank you, and I'm not really creative enough to come up with over 20 good responses. I really do appreciate all of the supportive words, though. Some things have happened since the whole mess that was my cousin's wedding. My mum tried to talk to me and said she saw the post I'd made. I pushed her away for a few days before finally speaking to her. I'm struggling to find the right words to describe how things worked out between us. The easiest way to explain it is that we agreed to disagree on whether what I'd done was right. I got a mix of messages from people who were present at the wedding. Some were supportive, while others told me off. I was struggling a lot. I've just gone back to simply functioning, like I was before the wedding, after coming down from the high of getting my own back. I don't regret what I did at all, and I still feel satisfied that I got my payback. I was making plans to take my own life about a month after the wedding. I hadn't told anyone, for obvious reasons, but my mum, my uncle, and my cousin, the same cousin whose wedding I ruined, came to me and told me they'd pay for a private counselor since the NHS mental health services are under-equipped, to say the least. I went to therapy. I found a counselor who was very helpful. He taught me a lot. I was diagnosed with PTSD, caused by discovering the affair. He's been a huge help and has encouraged me to give casual dating a try to build my confidence and get used to rejection as a normal part of life. I signed up for a few dating sites, although I'm avoiding Tinder like the plague. My counselor specifically suggested that I stay as far away from Tinder as possible. I haven't been very successful in that area, but it's pretty much in line with what I was expecting. I've talked to a few people and even got a date scheduled, but she stood me up and ghosted me, which hurt. I'm doing well, though. Much better. I don't have suicidal thoughts very often anymore. Whenever I'm feeling especially awful, I like to open Reddit and read your supportive messages. That's all for now. I'll probably start using this account more regularly, so you may see more of me. Update 2. Hey, friends, I'm still getting DMs asking for updates and the like, and honestly, I'm still baffled that people care enough to ask. I do read your DMs. I haven't responded to any because it's a little overwhelming. I've had over 70 people DM me now, all but 2 of whom have sent me messages of love and support. I really appreciate it, and I'm sorry for not responding. Like I said, it's just overwhelming. I might go through and respond someday. For now, I just open Reddit and read the messages whenever I'm feeling down or generally struggling to think positively. It really helps. Anyway, on to the update. There's really not a lot to update. I haven't had much luck with dating, so I gave up. I finally went on dates with 2 different girls, but neither of them was my type, so I didn't arrange a second date with either of them. The first girl constantly talked about her ex and about what an a-hole he was. Obviously, I can relate pretty strongly, but it gave me the impression that she hadn't moved on from him. After we finished our date, I walked her home, and she offered for me to come inside and watch a movie with her. I declined and lied, saying I needed to go home and feed my cat. I don't have a cat right now. She seemed to believe it. I felt bad for turning her down, and I hope she finds someone who'll treat her well. She seemed like a sweet girl, she's just still hung up on a toxic ex. The second girl was just painfully boring. She constantly talked about Love Island, I'm a celebrity. Get Me Out of Here, and a few other shows whose names I can't remember. I faked an emergency just to get out of the date because 5 minutes with this woman felt like several decades. Other than that, no luck. And that's fine. My counselor said that if using those dating sites felt like a chore, then I should stop using them. It felt like a chore, so I stopped. There have been quite a few common questions in my DMs, so I'll answer them here. Q, how are you holding up? A, I'm doing great, all things considered. I have dark thoughts from time to time, but I have no intention of acting on them. My counselor has been a massive help. He's taught me a lot of coping mechanisms and has helped boost my confidence from practically non-existent to probably a bit above average. Q, hey, did you know your story was shared on YouTube and TikTok? A, sort of. I've seen the videos you've linked to me, which were all the same TikTok video, but not the ones on YouTube or any other platforms it may have been shared to. I'm surprised it's gotten this big, to be honest, lol. But I'm aware of it now because you've told me. Q, have you spoken with your ex at all since the wedding? A, only when I've been to my cousin's house with my mum, which doesn't happen very often. I don't speak to either of them much. My mum just insists that I visit him since he's paying for my therapy. I think she's trying to repair our relationship somehow, but once I'm well enough that I don't need therapy anymore, I'm going to go no contact with all of them and move to a different city. Q, continuing from the previous question, if you do speak to your ex and or cousin, what do they say? A, anything that isn't related to the wedding or to them screwing each other in my bed. They do everything in their power to avoid talking about anything even remotely related to those events. If you have any additional questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll try to answer them if I see them. Final update, hello again. It's been quite a long time. A lot has happened, most of it just boring life stuff that you probably won't be interested in. I'd be surprised if I even reached 50 comments on this post, given how long it's been, but I've received messages as recently as a week ago, as of writing this update, asking for more news. I'm no longer in therapy. I spoke with my therapist about how my family, primarily my mother, kept insisting that I visit my cousin and my ex. I'll talk about them soon, don't worry. He said it would be best for me to go no contact, even if it meant losing access to therapy, because being forced to see them could make my mental health worse, and there was even a chance it could contribute to developing complex PTSD, CPTSD. I went no contact, and the therapy payment stopped. Fortunately, I'd managed to save enough money and canceled a few subscriptions, which allowed me to continue paying for therapy myself for about 10 more months. After that, I finally felt good enough about myself that I no longer felt like I needed therapy. My cousin ended up cheating on my ex. Honestly, I expected it to happen the other way around, but I suppose there's some poetic justice in that. It happened about a year ago. When I heard the news, I didn't really feel anything. There was a time when hearing that would have made me feel overjoyed, and I would have ridden the high of knowing she was experiencing the same pain she put me through. But I think I've truly moved on. Now, I just feel sorry for their child. In my speech, I said I hope their divorce would be a messy one, and from what I've heard from family members and seen on their social media, it most certainly has been. I don't know if they're still dealing with it. I've heard divorce proceedings can take years in some cases. I don't use social media very much. I only have this Reddit account and a Facebook account to stay in touch with my non-toxic family and friends, and, admittedly, to occasionally snoop on my cousin and ex whenever curiosity gets the better of me. As for me, like I said, there's nothing particularly exciting to report. I moved to a different city and got a decent job. It can be stressful at times, but the people I work with are great, and I get along with them well. Life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but I haven't thought about harming myself in a long time, so that's something to be grateful for. Thank you also, so much for your support over the years. It has meant more to me than you probably realize. I truly wish each and every one of you the very best in your lives, no matter what you may be going through.